and my guests have already joined me in the studio. We'll be getting into the stories that are trending today. Lots and lots to talk about this morning here on the show. The issue of the 4 girls from Takoradi is still trending after the police came out with their press conference indicating to us that the remains that were found are those of the missing girls after they conducted DNA testing. Some of the family members of some of the girls are not entirely happy with the whole issue or how it's been handled, especially by the police, and they are seeking to reject the results, and they want, to use other avenues to seek redress. I don't know what you make of the posturing of the family as far as this is concerned, but we want to talk about this today. And we want to know, of course, what you think. If you're watching us on Facebook, be sure to drop a comment down below in the comment section. Of course, if you're on Twitter, you can send us a tweet using the hashtag GHToday. We'll be glad to read your tweet and to, of course, let others know what it is that you think about the issues that we're talking about. The CSSPS has also been a very, very big problem. Yesterday, at the Independence Square, parents gathered once more to try and secure placements for the awards. And yesterday, it was a bit more orderly than it was on Monday. On Monday, it was chaotic. And the GS officials who were there could not handle it. But yesterday, they were able to bring things a little bit under control and to do the placements that the parents were looking for. There were reports also that there were some people who collapsed, actually, because of exhaustion and because of frustration and all of that. The education minister, interestingly, says that this was staged to make the government and the education ministry look bad. I don't know what you make of those comments, but we'll talk about that as well today here on the show. But let me introduce my guests to you now. And Richard Ahiagba is Deputy Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party, joining me in the studio today. Richard, good morning.
Very good morning.
How are you doing?
Quite well.
Good to know.
Yes.
It's been a while.
Yes, quite a while.
But it's good to see you.
Yes. I am happy to be here again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Sure.
Also in the studio is the Honourable Member of Parliament for Tamale North constituency and also representing the NDC in the 2020 elections for the same constituency in the parliamentary elections, Al-Hassan Suini. Good morning.
Morning, Lanton.
How are you doing?
I'm terrific. Alhamdulillah.
Good to know, and it's great to see you too.
Always a pleasure. I hope you are well.
Yes, I am.
Good.
And getting into the issues, let's begin with the Takoradi girls and what has happened. I don't know, beginning with you, Richard, when the news broke or when the acting IGP came out with a press conference, giving us a chronology of events that led to the final outcome of the DNA testing, the efforts that the police put in to finding the girls. They mounted surveillance in Nigeria because they were acting on intelligence. The suspects sending them on a wild goose chase before they finally got to where they were able to uncover the remains and then take it through DNA testing. And then finally telling us that this is the sad or unfortunate fate of the girls. I mean, when the news came to you, what was running through your mind?
Well, good morning again, and good morning to my brother Al-Hassan Suini, and to your viewers. I want to say good morning to the families of the 4 girls who we have lost per the DNA returns. It's a very sad hour for all of us as Ghanaians, and we stand with them. I understand the president reached out to solidarize with them and to share in their pain, and we commend the president for that, and all other Ghanaians who have taken the time to support and to encourage the family and to let them know that this is not their loss singularly, but this is our loss. We pray that they'll find that strength to carry on and then resolve with us, all of us Ghanaians, to say that never again, and if there's ever any opportunity to find those people, we will not relent in the effort. But I'd like to start from the top, and the point is that we have lost our 4 girls, and we have inadvertently, as a result of that sad happening, have found a way to solve this problem, at least with respect to these individuals who occasion their demise, and that is there appear to be a network. The individuals appear to be part of a network engaged in this enterprise of this dastardly act. Just this morning on my way, I hear some individuals were arrested in Nigeria in connection with some hotel killings. So this thing is alive. There are people out there who are determined to do bad things. So for the happenings here, we have found a network of people which the police would pursue and find out what else they are planning and what they are doing, and find ways to completely eradicate or be able to overcome their actions here in our country. Now, I've heard people talk about resignations and things to do with the Takoradi situation. I think that we shouldn't focus on that, but rather let's focus, that is my understanding, we should focus on how we can prevent future occurrences so that it will give us the occasion to maintain in the public consciousness the loss of these four children of ours, that it was on account of their painful loss that as a country we have resolved to say going forward, we will do everything we can to be preemptive or to reform our systems of investigation and our systems of trailing and more or less investigating or trying to fight these types of crime. And it is on the account of their painful loss that as a people we are mobilized to ensure that we need some new insight. We need some new processes and infrastructure within our security setup to be able to contend the evolving nature of crime in the manner we have seen in their case. So I think that there is a teachable moment in this that we can embrace. And as a people, we still have many of our girls out there and our children out there who are exposed, potentially who nobody knows what is out there, but we can now from this learn to say that let's equip and prepare our police to get on fighting foot to make sure these things doesn't happen again. Now, and the final thing I would say is the position of the family. Very painful situation they're
Position
in.
of one of the families. I think the family of Ruth Love Quayson.
Yes.
They are rejecting the results of the DNA testing. They want independent, DNA testing to be conducted.
Yeah, I don't fault them because if the tables were turned and I or anybody in their situation, I can only imagine the emotional response people would give. So for them, I make special adjustment for them, and I guarantee that all the institutions and the individuals who have a say in the matter would make tremendous adjustment for them to accommodate their feelings and to try to make sure that whatever we can do within reasonable bounds to ensure we give them the support they need to be able to come to terms with what has happened. It's not easy. I concede. I can only imagine what they are going through. But I also understand that this is our loss because I know what I'm going through emotionally, knowing that all of us had hope that one day these girls will return to us. So was the police people bent on trying to get us some results. So to have this sudden outcome, I think that the emotions they're going through is real. But I still maintain that in the midst of it, let's find some stability to say that what life throws at us, we don't have a choice. But the choice we have is how we respond to it. So we can stand firm and understand that the decisions we make today will give us a better tomorrow. As a people, as a family, and as a country, we can devise our way forward in ways that would help us be stronger and better. So I will encourage all that are able to speak with them to prevail on them, to see, because it's in the interest of these four children to be able to give them some kind of closure, and that closure must come with a complete unison agreement of the four families. And I think that if we do so properly, and there's a point I want to make, but maybe perhaps I would make it later on with respect to the police. But let's do everything to give them the comfort and the appreciation of their pain, for them to understand that we stand with them as a people.
So, coming to you on this, I want to know what your initial reaction to all of this is, right to the point where the announcement was made by the acting IGP, and then even the reaction of one of the families, as to not wanting to even accept what the police are saying.
Well, good morning, Richard, and good morning to our viewers, especially the very good people of the Tamale North constituency. And to your question, I think that as a parent, it was difficult listening to the IGP. And I could just imagine what the families of these, young girls went through that night. Such an anticlimax of an investigation that have taken them through some emotional roller coaster, because you had situations and times where the indications were that the police was making progress. And even at some stage, the police assured they knew where the girls were and they were going to bring them home to their families. Only for the bizarre turn of events that led to the recovery of some bones in a pit, a cesspit, and a DNA test that the family at first didn't agree to, taking about a month after they finally agreed to, bring about results that is supposed to be this shattering. I couldn't just imagine what they were going through, and I felt very depressed as a parent. And the whole situation remains depressing. And that is why I think it is important that we continue to pray for the families of these, young girls, whether we accept that they are dead or not. The families need all the societal and communal support that they can get at this stage. Let's not also forget the friends of these young girls. They may also be going through some emotional trauma, because you can imagine if you had your child, in class with some of these children. I mean, this news is obviously going to affect, children who had that kind of relationship with these children. So let's not forget them also. And so I urge relatives and friends and, community members who know these people to give them all the support that they need to go through this very difficult moment. I think that, generally speaking, Ghana has disappointed the families. The police have disappointed the families. And there's no way to put it than to say that, in my view, at least if for nothing at all, but to just assuage the pains of these families, some heads must roll. It should not just be business as usual. I mean,
when you say some heads must roll, what exactly are you talking about? Because people like Dr. Kwesi, for example, wants a commission of inquiry to be established into, probing how the police handled this particular case right from the onset, right from even how it was reported. There are people who also want the CID boss out of office because they believe that she has acted in a very incompetent manner in the handling of this case in particular. And because of that, it's not good, or it's not a good look for her to continue to even be in office, given the outcome of this investigation and all of that. So when you say some heads must roll, which direction are you going in?
I absolutely agree with Dr. Kwesi on the need for an investigation to be done, not just into this matter, but into the conduct of the police as far as this whole investigation is concerned. And I believe any fair and objective investigation will lead to some heads rolling. For example, there has been talk of how the main suspect in all of this was initially, imprisoned or in police custody and was later released under bizarre circumstances, and his own confession of being aided by an investigator. And the families have also talked about...
He wasn't released, he escaped.
He escaped.
But he was rearrested.
I should say that. He escaped, yes. And he talked about how he was helped by an investigator. So the whole conduct, and all the news that turned out to be false, that came out from the police service, need to be interrogated. How did the police come to that conclusion that they shared with us at the time that they did? Who were their informants? What was the motive of those informants? How or what process did the officers also involved take the informants through to ascertain the information, the veracity of the information that they were given to them before they also passed it on to us and the families? So I agree entirely with Dr. Kwesi in that apart from further investigations into this matter, which is being called for by the families of these people, we also need a separate investigation into the conduct of the police in all of this. And I believe sincerely that a professional investigation cannot, come out with results that will not find someone liable. Aside of that, the whole conduct of the CID boss, in my view, is so self-indicting that I do not believe that in any serious jurisdiction, and my brother here, Richard, will agree with me because he has lived abroad for some time. Not because Madam Tiwa is guilty, not because she may have done anything wrong, but simply because of what I said earlier, that Ghana has disappointed the families. And she was in charge. I mean, where structures work, where conscience is alive, I don't think that she should feel very good in the uniform and cap that she wears. Where conscience is alive, even if she is not fired. And like I said, my brother Richard will agree with me that where conscience is alive, she will no longer feel proud and good in the uniform that she dons.
So she must resign?
I am saying that where conscience is alive, that will be the thing to do without prompting. It is the thing to do without prompting. Where people have conscience. It is so embarrassing. It is so disappointing. And sometimes insensitive. When you look at the whole, gamut of tales that we have been told in this whole saga. So I agree with those who are also calling for her head. If she will not act like people who have conscience do by simply walking away and saying that I'm sorry I failed Ghana. I'm sorry I failed Richard Love Kwesi and the family and others. I'm sorry. And because of that, I am exacting this, level of punishment on myself. And such conduct also build confidence in institutions. When you have leadership accepting responsibility and taking, a charge to show remorse and to show that they should have or could have done better, it builds confidence in the institution.
So should she be leaving the police force, or should she just be leaving the office of CID boss?
I am not in a good position to advise her on what to do. What I just know is that in jurisdictions where conscience, is alive, you will not have her, either in the service or in the position that she is in. And so I think that it's been, and you see, we have not even come to the end of this matter, because there are still so many questions, so many. I mean, for example, I'm worried, and I'm sure every parent is worried, about how 4 girls ended up being kidnapped by one person or a group of people at different times, different locations. You can't seem to find a nexus yet, because you have some of them kidnapped 3 months apart, 4 months apart, 5 months apart. And yet, in the whole narrations, you don't see the nexus. You don't see how it happened, where it happened. All you know is that it happened at different times, and all the bodies, or supposed bodies, came out of one pit under bizarre circumstances. And that is why it is difficult for the families to accept the stories that are being told them, especially because they have been told lies in the past.
Okay. Let me come to Richard. You agree that the CID boss must go? She should do the honorable thing and perhaps resign her position? If not, maybe compelled to do so by those in charge, maybe the IGP.
You see, security is a very delicate area. When we're dealing with it, we need to be a bit careful, but not to disagree necessarily, but just to redirect to say conscience is alive in all. And in the particular situation that we are dealing with here, I am able to yield to conscience, okay, in a manner we're calling on the CID boss to yield, if upon personal interrogation, in reflection upon my role in the process, if I come to a conclusion that I have done less than I could have done to save the situation, if I find myself to have failed in doing what I know I should have done to save the situation, if I come to that personal conclusion, I would move away. So let's not put pressure. Let's not assume that something, or the CID boss has done something that she ought to yield to conscience for, until and unless, because she, by every measure, could have come to the conclusion that, look, I have done everything that I could have done. Okay? But it got to a point where there is nothing else I could have done to change the outcome. On the basis of conscience, you stay there with the determination that I want to be the one who saved the next thing from happening. That also is a conscience position that you reach.
But given all that has
based
happened,
on the assessment that you reach.
but given all that has happened, and the commentary about it, I mean, the chronology of events, I mean, her posturing, her press conferences, and all of that, and then eventually this outcome, is it still prudent for her to continue to be in that position, especially in the interest of the image of that institution which she heads, the CID?
Yeah, there is redemption. Okay, and so what I'm saying is that the same conscience that leads you to say, you know what, let me exit the stage, is the same conscience that lead you to say that I've expended everything, I have done everything. You know, at the end of the day today, we sit here to, do our discussions. If at the end of the day I feel that I've acquitted myself well, that everything I know about this issue I have put out there and contributed my understanding to it, so we'll move forward. If I feel honestly, self-introspection, that I have done my very best, despite the outcome, I can continue because I know that there is something there that I can contribute. But we have to allow her to get to that point of doing that introspection. But let's not get to the conclusion to say if she decides not to go, then she doesn't have conscience. Because the same conscience can let you reach two different conclusions, because now she can be determined to say, look, I have done my very best and I'll continue to do my best. I know I can do this for what we have achieved. And I just told you about the unraveling of a network. Because of this loss, I will recommit myself to ensure to redouble the effort of the police CID to achieve a level of success that have eluded us in this particular case. So that conscious position is also attainable. And so whilst we have the room to advise and call for based on what we feel, I think that we should allow her to come to that assessment. And if she arrives at a decision to say, I have been derelict in my responsibilities, so therefore I don't think I deserve this, she would say so. But if she comes to the conclusion also that, humanly possible, institutionally possible, I've done everything I can do, but we have not been able to resolve this case successfully, then there is something we must do as an institution. There's something new we must learn, and then the experience we have gotten through this unfortunate thing should lead us to do better. And I want to be the person who cracked the next situation that comes upon Ghana. Okay. And I think that also is a conscious position that she can reach, and we can support her if she gets to that.
I mean, so taking out the element of conscience, I mean, in your estimation, in the interest of the image of the police force and even the CID department, and confidence in the CID department, what should happen now? Should she still be at post? I want to know. What's your opinion?
If you ask me that question, I think that you're probably elevating me too far. I know.
Well, you're here to speak on the matters. You have an opinion.
I'm saying yes, but
I believe our viewers want to hear it.
Yes, of course. I'm saying that because you see, the analysis I can do for you is the analysis that my brother has done on the basis of conscience. You make that decision. The other leadership individuals who have a say beyond what I can say will look at the situation. But I think that the image of Ghana CID remains solid, is unimpeached because of this issue. Okay, there are human failings, there are, more or less investigative inadequacies that may have been occasioned. But you understand that being a human space, the challenges that we have seen here may have happened because people have natural limitations. But I think that if we are too quick to disband the whole thing we have here, the setup, and take away the head just because the outcome is not good, we may not be building an institution that is grounded in learning from its past, good or bad. So let's not be quick to change the team. Let's not be quick to throw people away, because at the end of the day, you're not going to bring other people who are from any other place, but they are also Ghanaians and already probably part of the fabric that led to us. But let's rather be focused on how we solve the problem. How do we learn from this, and how do we become better from the mishap that we have? So I think we should focus on that. Be it the image and reputation, they can always redeem their reputation by doing better. And in fact, we have record of the police institution, the CID, and the general security architecture in this country having chalked successes recently. I mean, we talked about the Kasua killings, unfortunate, of the two police officers. We have gone to a point where through these same police operations, we have gotten these people arrested. So there are instances where they've been successful. So let's not use this instance to just paint them as though they are deficient in doing their duties, but let's be careful and then apply that what we learn from here. How can we improve? What are the shortfalls we have, and how can we make ourselves better to redeem ourselves before Ghanaians? The image necessarily will not be enhanced through resignations and firing, but it will be through diligent work and investment to improve the security and protection of our people.
Okay, so let me hear you finally on this matter.
I think my brother gets it wrong at some point. The focus is not on the police service. And I don't think I have suggested that the police service, on the basis of this failure, is bad and should be written off completely. I'm talking about leadership of the police service. And we all know the responsibilities that leadership, carry. And again, the focus should not just be on Madam or Mrs. Adudankwa. It shouldn't just be. It should also be about, in the case of the IGP, he can be pardoned because he's acting. And he recently was just made acting IGP. The IGP who was perhaps working with Mrs. Adudankwa before, when this whole matter started, had to be relieved at some point. I'm talking about Mr. Pietu. So you can perhaps pardon the new IGP. But we have the council chair, the police council chair, in the person of the vice president. It is important that we do not lose sight of his responsibilities and his role also.
Okay, I would want you to hold that thought for a bit.
Please, and I think that's not fair.
Yeah,
I just started.
We'll take a short break.
I just started.
We'll come back and you'd continue on that point for me. But before we go, though, let me remind you of the 2019 edition of the Women in the Trinity Experience, Women in Worship in the Trinity Experience, which is coming on Sunday, the 22nd of September 2019. And every activity will halt and all roads are going to lead to the Action Chapel Dome for a thundering worship experience with powerful gospel maestros, women of worship who are going to be there to grace the stage. And it's 50 Ghana cedis for a regular ticket, 90 cedis for a double ticket, and 100 cedis for a VIP ticket. So visit Airport Shell, Bachona Total, Committee 11, 1 and 2 Shell, or kindly contact 02488103996. It's sponsored by NASCO Electronics, ATL, Bettermalt, Calamax, Awake Mineral Water, Hollard Assurance, Imani Impression, BTL Africa, and AH Hotel and Action Chapel. Media partners, of course, is the EIB network. The gate opens at 4 p.m. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
Yes, Dad. When and where will we buy all the things I need for school?
Akwesi, that's why I called you here. Throughout the week, your mom will be going to Mokola to get your items gradually. I, on the other hand, will see to it that your khaki and your white shirt will be sewn. Come in.
Have you finished buying all your school items?
How? I haven't.
Wow. I just finished buying everything on my prospectus from a shop called Prospectus Ghana. Their things are very affordable, and in 10 minutes, I was done.
Tell me more.
Guess what? Credit is available for workers from both the formal and informal sectors. And for busy parents like you, you can even order from the comfort of your homes because delivery service is available. They have everything. Ghana now has the first one-stop shop to get all your school items.
Wow, then I really have to go to Prospectus Ghana right away.
Prospectus Ghana, no market stress, yeah.
If it's about school prospectus, then Prospectus Ghana is the place to shop.
First was the unlimited worship experience, which saw the pouring of hearts to God in worship. Jeanette Services presents the 2019 edition of Women in Worship, themed the Trinity Experience. Come Sunday, September 22nd, 2019. All roads lead to the Action Chapel Dome for a thundering praise and worship experience with powerful female gospel minstrels of our time, the legendary Cindy Thompson, City Tune, the Evergreen Daughters of Glorious Jesus, 2019 VGMA Gospel Artist of the Year, Diana Hamilton, And all the way from Nigeria, the Jesus You Love Me Too Much hitmaker, Mercy Chinwo. Tickets are going for 50 Ghana Cedis regular, 90 Ghana Cedis double, and 100 Ghana Cedis VIP. Gates open at 4 p.m. sharp. This event is brought to you by Nasco Electronics, ATL, Betamalt, Color Max, Awake Mineral Water, Hollard Assurance, Imani Impressions, BTL Africa, AH Hotel, and Action Chapel. Media partners. Further information, call 055-774-7977. Women in Worship.
Awards USA is here. For 10 years, we have bridged the gap between Africa and the diaspora, honoring those who have broken social, economic, and political barriers to put the motherland on the pedestal. Today, we are proud to open a new chapter with Guba Awards USA under the theme African Diaspora, the catalyst for growth and innovation. Guba Awards USA takes place on Thursday, 26 September at the Pierre Hotel, New York, USA. Time is 6 p.m. prompt. Special guests include His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, as well as heads of state from Madagascar, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and the President of the ECOWAS Commission. Guba Awards USA 2019 is co-sponsored. Media partners. For sponsorship, advertising, exhibition, and tickets to attend, call 0548-966-213. Email marketing@gubaawards.co.uk or visit www.gubausa.com. Guba Awards USA is powered by Guba Enterprise and proudly title sponsored by Samara Company Limited, producers of Sasso Insecticide Spray.
Welcome back to the show, GH Today on GH1 Television. Honorable Al-Hassan Suini in the studio representing the NDC, and also Richard Ahiagba in the studio representing the NPP. And Suini, before we went on the break, you were making a point there. You were saying that, I mean, the focus is not even just on Tiwa. There are other people in there. And you could perhaps pardon the acting IGP because he was just appointed. But then the police council chair, the vice president, you believe will have a role to play or could have a role to play in all of this?
Yes, I mean, thank you for helping my chain of thoughts. You know, when we talk about leadership, we must not just focus on one leader. And in this particular case, it is even more bizarre because of how this whole investigation started. You recall that after the kidnapping, it took a very long time for the police to even zero in and make it, you know, a high rate case, thanks to the media. It was when the media took this up, launched hashtags, and did a vigorous campaign that the police even got serious about this whole investigation. And the CID at the time had just gotten its new leader in the person of Mrs. Addo Dankwa. And we also all know the bizarre circumstances, very, you know, unprofessional things that happened before she was elevated to the position of CID, after her boss was removed and all that. And those decisions were not taken by herself. The decision to elevate herself, to elevate her was not taken by herself. The promotions that she has received since, these are things that are handled by the police council. And so when we have such failures on our hands, then it is proper to question the police council, and by extension, the chairman of the police council. And what perhaps the council saw in her, in terms of her leadership qualities, to promote her in the manner that they did, and appointed her to the position that she now occupies. All these things have been lingering issues since she assumed, her position. So this case becomes a test case to even further, question all the things, raise the questions that people have already raised about her level of competence. So that's why I'm saying that my brother gets it wrong when he attempts to place premium more and on effort, other than results. He says that the same conscience I talk about in a fair assessment can also lead to the fact that she did her best and there's nothing else that she could have done. That is putting effort over results. Because whatever she may have done has provided the results that we are all not happy.
All right.
And so,
very well.
It's neither here nor there. In the end, whatever assessment you do, the fact that whatever effort you put in did not bring us the results that we were all expecting to make us happy, nullifies the effort that you put in.
Thank you for that point there. We'll have to move on from this subject and move on to our next subject matter, which has got to do with the CSSPs. I know Richard has something
not just
to say,
a thing.
because of time.
It won't be even a phrase, just a thing.
Yeah.
For everything my brother said, I just want to remind him that no man is infallible.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Maybe just a thing too. Maybe just a thing too. I understand, Lantan.
Let's move on.
A thing
Let's
too.
move on.
I know, just a thing too. I understand that no man is infallible. But it is not in every situation that you rate effort over results.
Very well.
Especially where lives are concerned.
Let's talk about CSSPs, because on Monday, thousands of parents and guardians whose children and wards failed to secure space in their chosen senior high schools besieged the Black Star Square to secure placement. And the exercise at the Black Star Square was actually to make sure that students that have qualified are able to get placement at a school that they may not have chosen but has space. And so, Monday's exercise at the Black Star Square was chaotic. It was disastrous. A lot of parents weren't able to get redress. A lot of parents slept there. And yesterday in the morning, it was a little better, because of what happened on Monday, officials of the GES were able to streamline the activities better to be able to begin a process to place people in schools that were available. The self-placement model did not work. It was shut down for some days. We were told by the GES that it was sabotage, so it means the integrity of the system was compromised. As to whether or not that is an acceptable explanation is, a different matter entirely, and I believe my guest will speak to it. But it's a whole lot as regards this particular thing. And then it led to the point where people even had to collapse, and ambulances were on hand to attend to them and take them to the hospital and what have you. Something that the Education Minister Matthew Opoku Prempeh says, is not true, and that these collapses, if I can put it that way, were staged just to make the government or the Education Ministry look bad. So it's a whole lot as regards this. But let me begin with you, Richard, on this, and the whole school placement system and the whole chaos that has characterized this year's on unprecedented levels. If you look at what's been going on at the Black Star Square, are we not right to be putting blame or to be laying blame at the doorstep of the Education Ministry in its handling of this, and not foreseeing that there are going to be huge numbers to be placed by the computer placement system, and so all must be done to ensure that we don't see some of these things?
Yeah, certainly all must be done to ensure that literally when our kids have finished their exams and all they want to do is go to school, they should be able to go to school. There shouldn't be any of this pandemonium that we saw happening at the Black Star Square. I heard that news. I think I was on my way to the ministry somewhere, and so I drove by there, and this is not the first time this has happened. We must underscore that. Now, the situation we have here, adequate preparations were made, okay? And from my understanding of the facts, about 90%, okay, of the placements were done accurately. And what is pending or what needs additional work is about 10% placement of students. That is probably other people who have mistakenly shaded a female and being a male, and some other issues to do with system conditions and things of that nature. But about 90%, and I think that that is as prepared and accurate as you can expect from any software, or I don't know really what any system.
But the other challenges, are quite peculiar and quite curious.
I agree.
For it to be sabotaged, for the system to be able to be compromised.
I hear.
Isn't it a problem?
I hear about system compromise, but I'm not sure to what degree and what the interest of any individual wanting to compromise or hack into a system, what their motive would be.
No, the motive to secure, because there were also widespread reports that people were taking monies from people to try and help them secure placements. There are instances where people went to do self-placement in a particular school. They got the school, they go to the school, they get prospectus from the school, and then they buy the prospectus. They go back to the school only to be told that their names are not in the system anymore. This is the compromise we are talking about.
I'm talking about.
So the motive is that somebody's name perhaps is taken out and replaced with another name.
Okay.
And because of some of these issues, the whole system had to be shut down.
Okay, so no, are we talking about the pre-placement or post-placement issues? Because I'm saying that 90% placement is pre-issue, right?
Yeah, pre-issue.
They went in and they posted.
We're talking about the 10% left. Those
right.
engaged in the self-placement.
So that is outside. So I'm not sure at that point is what I'm saying. Is it that point that people are saying is being compromised?
Yes, it's at that point.
The 90% placement point?
No, the 10% placement
The 10% placement point. Now, so let's underscore that, okay, so 90% accurate things were done, all right. 10% is the incidental challenges we have. Now, the motivation of people to place and collect money, they need to really investigate to see what has happened there, if truly somebody has done something untoward. And that, for me, is what we must focus on to try to see. But the key responsibility is to ensure our children go to school, and that responsibility, we cannot escape from it. And I'm hoping that systems will be put in place to make sure it works well next time. Now, let's also not get too quickly in trying to blame people, because that's what I see people are focused on much more than really trying to figure out a way. Because I can tell you, we can go back to yesterday and the day before yesterday and try to see how these things has happened all along. I am saying it's not acceptable. We should find a definite way of solving this issue. The balance of the people, from my understanding, I told you I was on the way to the ministry. So when I went there, I was talking to people casually. What you tend to find out is that people already come there holding placements, except they don't want what they have. They don't like what they have. They want something else. So if you look at it carefully, a good number of the people who were there yesterday, the last Monday, didn't have to be there if they were just basically accepting a school that they've been placed to, which they have selected as part of the choices they had. But they wanted the first choice school. They wanted
but some of them had issues with placement. For example, people who live in the north, for example, have a school, say, in the Ashanti region, and the placement is day, for example. No. And, they can't be a day student, so they have to change that to boarding. I heard a parent say that, their child doesn't suffer from any form of disability, but then they were placed in a school which is for the deaf, so to speak. So some of these issues were also there. That is the reason why there were parents who were coming there to come and seek redress.
I agree. So these are issues that we need. One, we need education. We in these positions need to also give information, and also parents must begin to engage. Some of those parents, when you ask them, for example, with all due respect, were not aware what school their kids even selected. You understand? I recall when I was selecting school, after, in the GSS level, I did all that by myself. You understand? I did that all by myself, and to the extent that I make mistakes or shade things the wrong way, I mean, those are things that we need to begin to say, okay, one thing we should learn from this, Lantam, is to make sure that next time all schools must ensure that when children are selecting this, they should give them a slip to go home. Discuss this with your parent. These are the schools you are selecting, because from 1 to 5, every one of those schools that you are selecting.
But I think even before that, I mean, the education is given to, the pupils, or at that stage, as to how to go through the selection process.
You're talking about 13, 14-year-olds.
Yeah, the education is done.
I'm saying
I know that GS officials, because I even remember that when I was in JSS, I mean, that education was done as to how to select your schools. I mean, how to select your choices. I mean, you don't select a grade A school, all through. You don't do this, you don't do that. This is how the process should be, and all of that. You're even encouraged. I mean, PTAs are even encouraged to come and learn. So I think some of this education is done by the GES even before the choosing of the schools is done.
I agree with you that perhaps is done, but some people don't have that information because based on what interactions I've had. So that is what is informing a situation where, say, for example, somebody up north who has been placed to a school in Kumasi, and then probably being a day student, for example, that can be addressed. But the question is, in selecting the school, was the awareness present to say that potentially I live in the north and that is too far away from me, so I'll balance the schools that I'll choose in the way that you have just described. So that's why I'm saying that let's have parental participation and make it an evolving process so people know, and also the understanding that out of the 5 schools that you have chosen, any one of them you accept to go. So if you get a 4th one, you get your 5th choice, it's still a school you have chosen. Take that. Don't come back and say you want number 1. That is the balance of the issue we're dealing with. A good number of people who came there, some have their placements, some incidentally may have issues about being placed in the wrong school and things like that. That is part of the process of assisting them. That can be done easily. That is not difficult at all. But the part where some people come there and they already have a placement and say, no, put me in this school that I want by all means, it's not possible. You cannot do it. Though we have vacancies across, every school has a capacity they can take and a set number they can take. So if they have that already and it's been blocked, you cannot go in there because it's your first choice. And that kind of education we must give. And that, the last thing I would say, my brother, is that we in the media too, let's embrace this moment. Let's not leave it to just the political discussion to say, oh, this person has done wrong, this person has done wrong. But let's take the moment and educate. And the very thing you just said, let's let the parents understand that there's a responsibility. You must be engaged. And when things go this way, you must understand that this is the way it must be.
But sometimes we, the media, also want to do the education, but getting access to the people becomes difficult. Because I remember that we've invited the CSSPS boss here before, and I mean, he failed to show up, to give us education on some of these issues. So when we hit some of these difficulties, it becomes difficult for us to also play that role. We will go there and report on what we see on the ground by asking the questions and trying to get to the people to speak to get a gravity of the situation. But if you also want to do that education and the people who are in the good position to do it are not showing up, it becomes also difficult for us.
No, I agree with you.
So perhaps you two, you should talk to your people.
I agree with you. But then you have a base information. What you just gave, that intuitive instruction, experiential instruction I just gave, would let a parent understand, this is how things are. So that part, let's do that, and let's get the officials also to come and speak to the issue. Because really, my belief is this, that whatever way we look at it, we must move this country forward, and every one of us must participate.
Okay, Suini.
Yes, Lantam, I'll take it from where my brother left off, the role of the media. You have your role cut out for you. I don't think that you have to be doing other people's business for which they are paid for. Yes, you can carry out education to some extent, but if you are to discuss how peoples are placed and there is somebody responsible for it who takes salary at the end of the month, to carry out that responsibility, and the person fails to show up, like you have explained, what else can the media do? What I think the media can do, is also to not just listen to officialdom, and take it on the surface of what they say. For example, I've consistently heard about the last time 85 percent of all who have applied have been placed. Since yesterday, I've been hearing 90%. Who is verifying those figures? Is it true because a minister or a government official says so? Who is verifying it? So I think that the media can do us the favor by interrogating the issues. That's what you are supposed to be doing. And if it is 85%, 90%, good. But how or why is the communication suggestive of the fact that we have done 85 or 90%, so the rest of the 10% can stew in their misery? Because that is the impression I get. That is, first of all, nobody is verifying the 85% or 90%. But aside of this...
This is what GS officials and CSSPS officials are saying.
That's what I'm saying. The fact that they say it does not necessarily mean it is true. It could be. It could also just be propaganda. So I'm saying the fact that they say it does not necessarily make it true. So in the absence of verification, one other thing I find disturbing is the manner that it is even put across, as if to say that the 10% Ghanaian children or 15% Ghanaian children who are in misery because they have not been placed can stew in their misery. That is quite unfortunate. That should not be coming from, people who are paid to lead. It's unacceptable. And then my brother says, this is not the first time. I agree. But technology is introduced to make life easier. Not so.
Mm-hmm.
So if over the period we have this technology today that is making life worse, then what is the use of that technology? What is the use of that technology that is making life worse? And you know how we got here? Because of a certain arrogance, a certain intransigence, a certain attitude that says it is always we versus them, and a suspicion of everybody who, for one reason or the other, doesn't look red, blue, and white. You had a software in place before you came into office. Without any report showing that that software was bad and could not live up to expectation, you changed the software because you have power so to do.
How do we know there was no reports indicating that there were shortfalls?
There is nothing
of the software.
There's nothing. In fact, I have heard even officials say that the whole problem is because of a new software and that it will get better.
Well, they talk about the numbers that they were expecting because of the free SHS and upgrading, the software, upgrading the systems.
You see, that is not an upgrade. Replacement is different from upgrade. It is not always the case.
To get a better software, to be able to do or to be able to place the huge numbers that are expected for the free SHS.
Take your time.
Okay.
A replacement does not always mean an upgrade.
Yeah.
You can do a replacement that results in an upgrade. But a replacement does not always mean an upgrade. And I'm telling you for a fact because I know, I've spoken to people in there, that it was just a mere replacement of a new software with even less features in some cases. Quite apart from that, every officer, I'm told, that over the years have been taken through all kinds of training to better this placement system have all been transferred. Again, because people have power to do that. That's the arrogance and the attitude of we versus them that I spoke of.
And that is what has resulted in the chaos that we are seeing?
It is possible. You're talking about experience thrown away. New people brought in. I'm told it is only the secretary. Only the secretary who is still there. Everybody there is new. You throw away experience because you have power and because you think the people do not look like they are red, blue, and white. Now, quite apart from that, then you have the Minister of Education. Oh my God.
And we'll come to that. We actually have the sound clip of the Minister of Education.
You are very good at doing this.
Talking about whether or not, talking about the fact that some of the people who collapsed there, staged it or it was feigned. But we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll play that sound clip for you and then we'll continue with your submission. Keep watching.
There are even smarter ways to enjoy life. Just pay your DSTV account on time and unlock amazing rewards. It really is that simple with DSTV Thanks.
We ain't stopping at nothing this September because the biggest party is about to open September. Are you ready? Hold up. Oh yes. Live 91.9 FM in partnership with Airtel Tigo Fuse Bundle presents September Rush. On Saturday, 21st September, the biggest university Fuse house party is going down. Location, it's a private mansion. Pidrasa Link, Ibri Hills. The time, 2 p.m. prompt. We are busing you from your campus to the official party destination. Tickets are selling fast for 30 Ghana cedis and 50 Ghana cedis VIP. To get your tickets, make a stop over at the office of Live 91.9 FM, GH1 TV, or call 024-111-4141 or 0273-021-968. This event is sponsored by Airtel Fuse Bundle. No expiry. Just dial *566.
Still watching GH Today on GH1 television. You're welcome back from that break. And before we went, I told you earlier that on this education or CSSPS or computer placement issues that we're talking about, the Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, he actually spoke on Asempa FM, in which he said that reports of people collapsing was staged. Take a listen.
Here, you are placing 90% of the students as we speak. Which system? And that from 2005, basically, they are better. Mekacho said last year, you know, Independence Square.
Yeah.
The ACNC. Because encophobia, the dream body phobia, the Nipabia flow to cause problems.
But I will say it without any shred of evidence. No evidence.
Mekacho said, Upako, said, Kubusa Wum Jaja. So, by the way, you know, CSSP was for the Koyi. It actually be so.
No.
Instead of the police for.
Yes.
So be ending like.
Yes.
Instead of the police for them. I don't know who.
But it is more dignifying today with the same numbers.
Because among more by here, no, who police. Because you said, Nura, the Paboni for the framework, if you are on Jimindi. Last year, I just say, and then you say.
So that's Education Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. We seemed not to have gotten that particular part, but it's also they'll try and get it and then play that part for you. But let me come back to you, Suhini. You were trying to make that point of the Education Minister, you know, saying that people collapsing and all of that was staged, and it is not true.
I mean, it is vulgar. It's repulsive. The arrogance, the ignorance, the cluelessness with which the Minister of Education speaks worries me more about the future of our education in the hands of such a person. The insult to the parents who are having sleepless nights, who the night before yesterday held a vigil, turned the Independence Square into a prayer camp. It's unacceptable. That insult to them. No sense of empathy from somebody paid with our tax money to do better and to show he knows better. And you are right. You did not even capture the worst part of the interview, where he suggests that it is President Mohammed's fault. He bars people there, gave them 20 cedis, 50 cedis. How can you insult parents like that? How? I mean, and it makes you understand why the whole educational sector is in a mess, in the mess that it is in. Look, go to the basic level, the primary and GSS. It has, I mean, the problems that used to exist there have aggravated. It has gotten worse. Talk of chalk, talk of textbooks, talk of teaching learning materials, talk of debts. It's gotten worse simply because of the neglect and the focus on a dysfunctional free SHS. No attention is paid there. And why will one be surprised if such a fellow with such logic and level of thinking is leading the ministry? Go to our universities. Recently, you spoke about Legon. And it is going to get worse because there is no preparation for the numbers that these tertiary institutions will be receiving when the first batch of free SHS graduates begin to flow towards there. No infrastructure is being put up in the universities to contain the numbers that will come, or in the tertiary institutions. Go to our training colleges. Because of, you know, an irregular allowance, the quota system has been introduced. So people who hitherto were qualified and would have had admission into the training colleges to come out as either nurses or teachers, we are talking education, or teachers, so that they can fill the vacant classrooms, have all been denied the opportunity because of an irregular allowance that the government wants to propagandize with. That is the mess that our education system is engulfed with. At the SHS level, that's why I refer to it as a dysfunctional free SHS. Parents don't know when their children are going to school. Double track, green track. The confusion is simply terrible.
So you're saying the education ministry,
and I'm saying that the mess, the impact of this mess is not even what we feel today.
Okay.
You see, it will hit us the more in about 5 or so years, or even less. And that is why I think that as a people, we are not angry enough. And to have somebody like the Minister of Education insult the intelligence of parents who are already in misery through no fault of theirs shows the level of leadership that we inflicted ourselves with as a people.
Richard, let me come to you. I mean, is it in good taste, the minister's comments on people who collapsed and had to be attended to with ambulances? Some of them had to be rushed to a hospital. Is it in good taste for the minister to make a statement like that?
Do you know what else is not in good taste that I'm more interested just presently is a commentary of my brother. It's not in good taste. Do you understand? He is an honorable member of parliament, a leader. So when you're talking, appreciating and understanding the circumstances of leadership, you don't just talk for the convenience of it, just because you can. All he did here is to talk about things that happened just Monday. He didn't tell us what happened under them when children have to stay in the house for 3 months without even going to school. If you come from that background, you learn, you bring ideas to build system and make it better. We have come after you to inherit a mess which is being fixed.
That's a lie, and you know it.
Please don't interrupt me.
But
you
know
understand?
You are not telling the truth.
In this country, yes, in this country, we are where we are today because of the mess you left.
Always.
We've put ourselves to work, doing the best we can to remedy the situation, because the difference between us and them is that we understand that in this country, we live here, we are the ones to make it better. Somehow they don't understand that. They feel they are creating a system for some people to benefit from. But we believe we are creating a system for ourselves and our children to benefit. So we'll do what is right. You understand? So the issue that is come and the comment of the minister, I think is totally taken out of context. The idea that he was suggesting, and you must be mindful of the context in which he's speaking, and you put what he said vis-a-vis what Honorable Soini just said. And you tell me that if you are saying the minister's comment is not in good taste, how would you rate Soini's comment? Is that in good taste? Absolutely not. Calling a minister clueless and all these things, that is not the speech of a leader, because he is a leader. Being paid by the Ghanaian, tax money as well. So there's no difference between him and the minister. If you think what the minister said is wrong, what you are saying, do you say that is bad? That is right?
But what do you make of what the minister said?
I'm telling you, okay, if at this point, having listened to Honorable Soini, there is no comment you can pass about the minister's thing that he has not made. So that makes us to think that maybe what the minister is saying, he's saying it because Soini will say what he said. Because there is no way.
Is that a justification?
I'm not justifying.
For speaking like that.
I am not
as a minister of education.
Please, I am
people
not
throng to the Black Star Square because they are frustrated. They are looking for placement for the awards. They collapse, and then you come and sit on radio and then you say that it may have been staged and it's not true and it's just to make the government look bad. Is that something that the minister should say? I mean, regardless of what Soini has said.
But no,
is that what the minister of education should say?
Listen, you cannot discount what Soini said. He's a minister. He's not a minister.
He's a member of parliament.
Yes.
He's a member of the opposition.
Listen,
he has made his points, but let's talk about what the minister said, because he is the one who is in charge of whatever is going on at the Black Star Square now. He's heading the ministry.
Okay,
and so his comments are in the limelight now.
Okay, so you need
I want
to
you
slow
to talk
down.
about that.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. There's an interface here. There's a context in which this conversation is happening. You understand? And the minister was not speaking in a vacuum. There are things happening that the minister is speaking to. I think that if there is any trouble, as far as Soini is concerned and his party, to say that the minister says there's perhaps some suspicion that some people attempted to inflict the view or the recordings out there to create disaffection for the government, there is some merit to it because of the political environment in which we're operating. And I'm saying that comment by the minister is validated by the commentary of Sweeney and other NDC people trying to inflate and try to make this thing appear a disaster that has never happened before. That's why he won't allow me to tell the Ghanaians that for them, when they were in charge, there was a time here in this country when school children, SHS students, have to stay in the house for some 3 months before they can go to school. You understand? If you come from that background and somebody is trying to improve and make...
And why?
You are in the media, so don't be asking me that question.
It's crazy.
You understand?
Oh,
so when you are in that situation and you come from that background, you're not the one to throw stone. And that's what we are saying, that the situation we are in now, please, you allowed in plenty of time.
Yeah,
so
just land. Unfortunately, we've run out of time on this.
But then,
it's 8:45. We'll have to wrap up for the next segment. So
the point I am making,
that you allow me more time. This is a second bite. I haven't had it.
No. I am making the point that as a government, our interest is not in passing blame here and there. Our interest is in ensuring that going forward we'll fix this system and make it work for Ghanaians. That's our
Thank you very much. Yes,
no,
1 minute.
I think that first of all, it is untrue to suggest that you inherited a mess. In fact, the figures are there. In 2016, about 435 students were placed. 95% of them were placed. And they were not made to even queue at the Independence Square like we are seeing now. There was a short code, 1060, that was introduced, where students could text their index numbers.
Work.
Please. Their index numbers.
Please. It didn't work. I can show you a report that says that maybe the network.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, very quickly. 30 seconds.
So you did not inherit, even if that tax code didn't work, but 95% of the students were placed in 2016.
Oh, so now you are going to percentages.
So if you are talking,
and that is not even true.
Okay, that is not true. The communication was not like it is portrayed now, that people can go and stew in their misery. Even though 5%,
nobody
you have not even reached that percentage. And you are insulting people all over. But see, when you say, when you are so ashamed,
when you are a member of parliament,
thank you. Let's end it here. Let's end it here. Thank you. Richard Yahafa is Deputy Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party, and Honorable Al-Hassan Suhini is Member of Parliament for Tamale North Constituency, joining me in the studio this morning for us to have this discussion. There's a lot more to come up. So Sewami here is sitting down with some guests to talk about the worship experience which will be coming up. Make sure that you do not go anywhere. Keep on watching GH Today.
Shut your jolly. She oh jolly, oh jolly. She oh jolly, jolly. She oh jolly, jolly.
Welcome back to the show. This is GH Today on GH1 Television. I am Sewami here. And before we go, let's quickly talk about the Women in Worship concert. And it's happening this year on September 22, 2019, on Sunday. And it's happening at the Action Chapel Dome. I'm having a conversation with Harvesta Yani. He's part of the media team for Jeanette Services, and they're the organizers of the Women in Worship concert. Good morning. It's good to see you. For those of us, or for those of our viewers who may not know, quickly tell us what Jeanette Services does.
All right, so Jeanette Services is an event management. They are into managing events, okay, and so they are the ones powering this Women in Worship movement.
Okay, and so come September, because here at GH1 Television, we've played a number of adverts on it. We've been talking about it. What should people expect come September 22?
Okay. So September 22nd at the Action Dome, anyone that is set out to come there should expect thundering worship and the power of God. There is going to be a move of God out there, because we believe that the clouds are heavy with rain, and surely they are going to precipitate on everybody. Now, this is not just about worship, but then the aim of Women in Worship is actually to raise funds to support our Akatesia campaign, which is our campaign against cervical cancer. And so I believe that everyone coming out there is coming there not just to worship, though worship is one of the motives, but then also to support this campaign to help our women out there who are suffering from cervical cancer.
Okay, so is it just open to women, or it's for everyone?
No, it's open to both sex, men and women, because I believe you are a man, you came out of a woman, so you would have a mother, you have a sister, you have a wife out there who also may, one way or the other, who knows, tomorrow could suffer from this. So the knowledge or the information we are giving out there is for both men and women. And when it comes to worship, it's worship, it's not just limited to one.
So why the theme Women in Worship?
Why? Because it's a campaign to help our women out there.
Okay.
Akatesia campaign, we call it.
Okay. How many years has this been going on?
For 3 years now.
For 3 years.
Yes,
who are some of the people who are performing this year?
Okay, so we have from Nigeria, Mercy Chinwo. We have our VGMA Gospel Artist of the Year, Dinah Hamilton there. We have our mommy, Cindy Thompson. We have Sissy Chum. And we have Reverend Ife. And then we also have Daughters of Glorious Jesus.
Okay, we must apologize to our viewers, because we mentioned earlier that Cindy Thompson will be joining us. Unfortunately, she's not able to be here, but she'll be at the Women in Worship concert on September 22 at the Action Dome at Spintex in Accra. What is the rate for this event, and where can it be purchased? Okay, so tickets, we have regular tickets for 50 Ghana cedis. We have double going out for 90, and then VIP is 100 Ghana cedis. So tickets are our ticket outlets are Bachona Total, Airport Shell, Community 11, 1 and 2 Shell, Action Clinic, and Bookshop. And so maybe you could call our hotlines on 024-8810-396. Please take the number again.
024-8810-396.
Okay. And so what time is the event starting?
So we opening at 4. 4 exactly, because tickets are going to be sold on that day. So 4 exactly, gates are opening.
Okay. So any shout outs you want to do to any of your sponsors?
Okay, so we are being supported by AH Hotel, Imani Impressions, NASCO Electronics, Action Chapel, Awake Mineral Water, Better Malt, ATL, all our sponsors. We want to say God richly bless you there, and your viewers also. Shout out to everyone watching us.
Okay, EIB is official media partner, by the way. But
sure.
Thank you very much, Harvesta Yani. He's a member of the media team for Jeanette Services. They are the organizers of Women in Worship concert, and it's coming up this year at the Action Chapel Dome at Spintex here in Accra, and it's happening on Sunday, the 22nd of September 2019. Thank you very much. I'll see you. Don't go away. The show continues shortly.
She oh jolly, jolly, she oh jolly, jolly, she oh jolly, oh jolly. Show jolly, oh jolly. Show jolly, oh jolly. Inke, show jolly, she onga epa.
That's right, and you're welcome back to the show. At this point is where we're wrapping it all up, and we are so excited that you've stayed tuned watching GH Today, right from 6 a.m. till this time, and you can be rest assured that we're going to be here again tomorrow. It's been quite an interesting show, so with all the commentary coming about sports betting.
Yeah.
Why are people so interested in sports betting?
I don't know.
Why are people so...
I don't know.
Does it pay that much?
Obviously.
Does it pay that much?
I haven't experienced it, but for those who are chopping block money.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's
because I remember the only time that I did a sports betting I was telling you about, 20 Ghana Cedis. This was way back when I was in Central University. And it was 5 games. And 5 games, went through. 1 game didn't go through.
And then the whole bet would even work. I don't even understand it. But
since that I haven't bet again. Because, it can become addictive when you do it and then you win 1. And then after some time, you win another one.
How do you know all these things when you did it just once?
No, I did it once. But I'm not, it's not something I'm really interested in. I'm not attracted to it because I know it can become very addictive.
Right.
Once you start, it's hard for you to stop because the prospects and the imagination of what you could do with the monies that you are potentially winning, it's mind-blowing. And then you hear stories of people winning 10,000, people winning 5,000, people winning 1,000, and this one. So you always feel that your time will come. And so you continue doing it and doing it and doing it.
Are you able to bet in the comfort of your home, or you have to go to the betting center?
People use their phones. They have the apps on their phones. They can bet.
Okay.
They have
so
mobile money accounts that the monies are paid into and all of that. So it's a very big thing, and it's very, very addictive, and that's where my problem is, the addictive nature of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. Anyway, thank you. I've learned a lot about betting today. Thank you all for your messages. We are grateful that you called in. We're grateful that you texted. And we're grateful, most importantly, that you watched. We'll be back same time again tomorrow. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of our programming. I'll see you at 11:30 for Newsroom. But have a great day.
That's right.